Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's 1 p.m. I am so behind today. Hi guys. How are you? Happy Monday. Happy Motivation Monday. I hope you guys are doing good. This is going to be a very, very, very quick video, right? Because look, I have so much going on. So let me get into it. Before I get into it, you know what we do? You know what we do? Bam! It's Dunkin'. So today I got the frozen matcha latte. So if you know what matcha is actually it's an herb actually, that is used widely around the world. Now, they use matcha powder here, and it has lots of healing elements, things like that. The one thing I love about Dunkin' is that they have, herbal teas. They have drinks that are filled with nutrients and, vitamins, stuff like that, which I really love. So, I forgot I got a shot of raspberry. My daughter, Christina, told me about that. She's the one, I used to get the matcha, but she's the one that said, oh, you got to get the raspberry shot. So, yeah. Oh, my gosh, so good. I have nothing to eat, guys, because I haven't eaten today. Not in the eating mood. Got a lot going on. But anyway, I do that when I have a lot on my mind. And I get busy. I don't eat anything. So, I had some peach this morning. Peaches are in season, y'all. Peaches are in season. I was supposed to bring some peaches to Ghana because Ghana doesn't get peaches. So that's something that I was supposed to be doing. So we're going to see if that's still going to happen. Because actually peach season is really in August, but peaches are out now, but the juicy ones, like the really sweet ones, come out in August. But the ones I had were really good. I got those the other day. They're really, really good. So, hey, Cousin Tracy, how you doing? Welcome to my live. How y'all doing? Listen, let's chat really quickly. Now, I want to give you guys some quick updates. So, remember last week, first of all, let me just thank my contributors to the nonprofit Reese Mitchell Foundation. Thank you so much. Let me say this. Now, listen, if you don't like, subscribe, and share, please do. If you follow me on YouTube, this video will be reproduced on YouTube. So there'll be a lot of pictures and video that I can add to this video later. So please make sure you go over to my YouTube channel so you can see some things. So shout out to Matthew 25 Ministries. They hooked us up again. If you guys remember, I've had a relationship with Matthew 25 Ministries for a very long time. And they provided PPE and other things for my families here in Cincinnati, and then we end up taking stuff to us with me to Ghana. So they did it again. Once again, and so we have a relationship with them like they do with a lot of organizations, and it's monthly we can go over and get the things that we need for our families. So as you all know, part of it stays here in Cincinnati, and then part of it goes to Ghana, West Africa. So I'm actually going to increase my request this time because my families have now increased on what they need. So shout out to Matthew 25 Ministries. Me and my daughter, listen, we did that thing. My son is down, my husband's not here. So we had to do it ourselves. So I'm stronger than I thought I was, but I paid for it later because I was done later. I came in, took a nap because it was hot outside. We was picking up those boxes and put them in that car in the van, and we did our thing. And then we went and got a treat. After that, took her to a Tropical Smoothie Cafe, which is one of our favorite places. I love that place. The smoothies are expensive, but that was our treat. So we got that. So it was great. And so thank you guys again to those of you who donated. Thank you to Corrido in Blue Ash and I'm getting ahead of myself, but we've done fundraisers with them in the past. And what happened is we never got paid for the last fundraiser. So we finally got paid for that fundraiser. So thank you for that. And we're doing another fundraiser the weekend of July 28th there at Corrido in Blue Ash. So stay tuned. We'll have all the information out for you and all that. Yay. So let's talk about the topic at hand. I think I went over my weekend. I did not go to church this weekend. I did church online. And I didn't have to sing this week, so it was great. And then I having my son who has his little broken leg, if I don't have to take him out, then it's great. His broken ankle, I'm sorry. If I don't take him out, it's great. So we did that. We went to the pool a lot. We're going to go to the pool today, probably this evening, like a lot of that. And I am gearing up for my baby's Sweet 16 party. Now, listen, you guys probably saw that I did take her out to dinner, and we had the house decorated like we always do. I always decorate the house every birthday. Everybody's birthday, they get, like, everything is, and that's something we've done traditionally in our house. And it stays up for a week or so. And because in our house, we have birthday weeks and sometimes months. We gear to the months. And during that time, it's not always celebration entire month, but it's doing things to encourage yourself, to self-care, to, benefit yourself in that. We do, vision boards. We do, goals lists, things like that. So that's what's happening for the month of the week. So her birthday was June 2nd. But because of that day, took her out that day. Yes, took her out to the Mexican restaurant, which she requested. But because of my son's breaking his ankle and everything, it threw off her party. Her party was supposed to be June 30th. So couldn't do it, pushed it back 2 weeks. And it is this weekend. So I'm gearing up for that. House will be transformed. Outside will be transformed. In front will be transformed. I'm using my own space. I don't like using my own space for parties, but because there's a lot of cleanup. But the way that I'm going to kind of navigate this time, I think I'll be fine. So with cleanup and all that, because I've had many parties in my house with my kids, and cleanup is the worst. It is the worst. So thank you guys again for what you're doing, what you've done. Thank you for praying for us. Thank you for praying for Sanford. Oh, it's still hard. He still wants to walk on that ankle. And I'm praying that when he goes back to the doctor, he says, okay, it looks good. You can throw away your crutches, because that's what he told him. But he's got the bike. He's got crutches. So special thanks again to Sycamore Bridges for that. So we're doing okay. So thank you for praying and keeping us in your prayers. Pray for me. This is a hard day today. It's hard in that I have a lot going on, so I'm becoming overwhelmed. So pray for me. Please pray for me. And it's a story of my life, having kids with special needs, and then having people that are not in town. It's hard, not having that connection. So keep me in your prayers. So let's talk about the topic at hand. Now, again, if you follow me on YouTube, you will see this video. I can't show the video immediately, but my girlfriend, Karen Bemis, shared a story and about something that happened when she was out on her walk. And I'm going to show you that video here.
Good morning. So something just happened in my neighborhood. Can you see that? I don't know if y'all can see that. That's like a little wooded area. Behind it is like a little, almost like a meadow, right? So I was over there, and when I walk a big square around my neighborhood, and there's an opening in that fence down there, and I walk through that meadow at the end. So there's a condo and apartment complex back there, and what just happened was that I went to walk into the meadow, and there was a dog, off leash, boxer, kind of big, I'm showing you, but up to about my waist. And I stopped. Two things were going through my mind. One, I don't know if I know this dog. Two, I have a neighbor who has a boxer who gets out all the time. So I was going to send the picture to the other neighbor and say, I don't think this is him, but just in case it is, I'll bring him home, right? So as we're standing there, and I'm going to get emotional about this because because I'm me, okay? A probably young 20s or 30-year-old black man walked up, and I had my AirPods on, and I pulled one out, and I said, "Is that your dog?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, I knew it was a male. I said, "Is he friendly?" And he said, "Yes." So I walked over. I was like, okay, great. Good to know. And I explained about the neighbor dog and stuff. And I walked over, and the dog walked up. And I said, "Friendly?" And he said, "Very." And so I walked over. The dog walked up to me. I loved on him a little bit. And then I went about my way. The dog went back to marking all the trees, and I waved back to the guy and said, "Have a good day," and off I went, right? And it wasn't until I got on the street that I realized, you know what? My name is Karen, okay? I take a lot of, there's a lot of abuse out there, whether you understand it as abuse or not. There's a lot of abuse out there for women named Karen. I'm also, depending on what thing you look at, I'm either Generation Jones or a boomer. And we have such a reputation as white women named Karen and my age group of, like, every time somebody breaks the rules, we call the freaking police. You know what? I didn't realize until I was through all that how scared that young man might have been, that I might have called the cops on him because his dog was off leash. You know, and that something so simple as a dog or me could scare somebody like that. And the thing is, I have a neighbor, another white woman actually, who used to leave her dog off leash, and he would come at me like growling and barking and everything, and she would say, "Just keep walking." Well, I got bit by a dog one time. Oh, and there's one of the neighborhood dogs that I play with all the time. Good morning. So it must be a dog morning. So anyway, but you know, I'm just thinking, oh my God, that poor guy. He could have been so scared of me, and I'm not threatening at all. Yet, just the fact that I'm who I am can be frightening. And yet, we're taught that, like, he could be frightening, right? And he wasn't. But it ended up just being this normal exchange. And like I said, it wasn't until afterwards that I thought that could have been very traumatic for that young man. And I hope it wasn't. But you know what? We gotta do better. You know, he didn't deserve, he doesn't, if he was scared, he didn't deserve that. And it makes me sad that I think I could be the one to have caused it just because of being white, being middle-aged, and hilariously having the name Karen. So anyway, I just thought I would share that today. And I really, really, just be kind, everybody. Just be kind. Don't be the reason someone's traumatized. Don't be the reason that someone probably has to get over some fear as they're driving to work or wherever he's going this morning. So anyway, that's my thought for today. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.
And when she came back, she, as you can see, as you saw in the video, those of you who saw the video, she is talking about how it made her feel. And let's talk about the Karen situation for a second. So we know the name Karen has had a terrible, terrible, terrible attachment, in that Karen is pretty much represents white women who are in folks' business, who trying to run things and who are controlling and trying to tell people what to do, and who are racist. Pretty much they're racist, and they mess with people of color for no reason. Pretty much. And so that name Karen came about. Now, interestingly enough, the name Karen, that term Karen, did not come from a black person, it came from a white person. But it is what it is. But which is still sad. But I have two Karens in my life, and both those Karens are good Karens. When I say good Karens, meaning that just because her name is Karen, they're good people. The story that sticks out with this Karen in particular, she was there for me when I had my baby, when Kalila was in a NICU, when I needed her to pick something up. You know, we were there for each other. Like, we have that kind of relationship. Like, we did carpooling with our kids to school. We were 2 doors down from each other, so we lived in the same street. And then every morning we would take our kids to the bus stop, and we would sit there with our coffee, and we would just sit at our drink, or mostly tea, and we would just sit there and talk for almost 2 hours, just standing in front of her house. And because my house was farther down, and her house is closer to to the bus stop. Our kids are all grown now, and two of her kids are married, and like two olders are married, and they're all grown now. But we used to do that, right? And so we would talk. Yes, sometimes we would talk political stuff. Sometimes we would talk race relations. We would talk about her experiences as a white female, my experiences as a black female. Yes, we didn't cover any, leave anything out, because that's the kind of relationship we had. That's what we talked about. I've never known her to be a person who would tell on someone or to call the police. If this person's doing this, I've never known her to do that. I've known her to be very conscious. I've known her to be very sensitive about people and their needs. I've known her to be just someone who has a good heart and really tries really hard to make sure that you know that she's not racist and she's not a Karen, right? Although her name is Karen. So that's, the Karen that I'm speaking of. And as you saw the video, she was genuinely concerned that she was offending this young man. So, she saw the young man, the dog was loose. She was concerned about the dog, but she saw the dog was pretty friendly. But then she said, "Hey, is this your dog?" And he was like, "Yes." And he was afraid, like he was scared that she was going to call the police on him. And it bothered her so much that she had to, do this video, say, "Hey, this is a concern in our country. This is something that we have an issue with." And so I want to say this. If you have someone in your life that is like that person, is like that Karen, who causes issues, I feel like your responsibility is not to ignore that. If you have someone in your life like that, right? I think if you are not like that, if you're a person who believes in racial equity and believes in, us getting along, us being a country that helps one another, what have you, I think that you have a responsibility to talk to your Karen and say, "Hey, you got to stop doing this. This is not helping the situation." Because it's really not. It's not helping. The videos that you all have seen about the Karens that call the police on black people when they're in the pool, or black people if they're on the street, or just somebody just walking up to. There was one situation where a woman saw a black boy. She couldn't find her phone and thought the boy, he had a phone that was kind of like hers, and he went and tried to snatch the phone out of his hand, and she got arrested. Most of these women get arrested, right? And I feel like if you have someone in your life and you know someone like that, I think it's your responsibility to challenge them and say, "You know what? Enough's enough. Enough is enough." And I am pro-black as the blackity black there is. I am. However, I will stand here and testify, if you will, and say that there are women in my life that are not black who have been there for me, who have supported me in my efforts, in my business, in my nonprofit, in my health scares, and raising children with special needs. They have been very present and there for me. I have white women in my life who have marched with me with signs about the police or police brutality or equity. I have white women in my life who have organized rallies with me, okay, who are not afraid to get on camera, on TV, and say what they believe, okay? I have those women in my life, okay? So I will not get in a situation to where I will argue about, all white people are this way. Oh, absolutely not. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I have people in my life, men in my life, that are white men who have stood up for me and stand up for the black community, and they do it publicly. These are people who I consider family, right? If there was somebody that was in my life that was not doing that, or I felt like they were just nice to me, but still had a issue with just people of color, I would have to challenge them, and I've done it before. I actually left a contract because of that very thing, because of something that was said. I said, "Oh, that's how you feel. Oh, you forgot who I was. You got too comfortable with me, and you said something that was inappropriate. Okay, well, I'm good. You can keep this money." Yeah, I sure did. Walked away from a contract. Sure did, and would do it again. because it is about the principle. Okay. There is a whole viewpoint on how people act. Now, I'm going to share something with you guys. This is, that happened to me this past 4th of July. So I had posted about how the fireworks were just too loud, and I have special needs children, specific kids with autism who have sensory issues with hearing in my home. And my new neighbor, they've been here maybe 6 months, maybe not even a year yet, not even close to a year, maybe 5 months. They just moved in the fall. No, 6 months. I would say 6 months. They moved in right at the end of the school year. So they haven't been here a year yet. And, yes, 4th of July, the husband, now these are people of color, right? Now, let me talk about the demographics of Blue Ash, right? Blue Ash is diverse to a certain degree, but it's majority white, right? There are Asians, there are Hispanics, and Asians, and that they're Indians here, right? So Asians, Hispanics, and Black, African, and white is what is made up here, okay? I've lived here for almost 30 years. My street and my neighborhood, when we first moved here, we were the only Black family for probably 2 or 3 miles, maybe radius. I don't know of anybody that was close. The only woman I remember who moved in later on was a teacher who teaches at Sycamore, and she moved in on Hunt Road. Other than that, it was just us, right? And it is what it is. And the reason I know is because I ran for council in 2008, and I know my ward, and my ward encompassed those miles, right? And I knew my constituents, and I knew who was voting for me, and there weren't people of color at all. So I didn't run to win. I ran because there was a reason I ran, but it's a whole other story. So unfortunately, when this couple first moved in, I introduced them and I welcomed them to the community because I was like, oh, great. Another person of color. I love this. I'm the diversity queen. Like anyone who knows me, who lives here, who has kids that go here in the district, they know I am the ambassador for diversity in Sycamore schools and in Blue Ash, right? They all know this. Every council member knows this about me because I have advocated for it. So on my street, this is a new street for me because as you guys know, we had a fire. So we're living in a new street. So on this street, there was one other Black family across the street. And I believe there's one all the way down the street, to the left of my house. And I know that because one of the young men goes to school with Kalela. And I was like, oh, there are 3 Black families on this street, which is very rare here in Blue Ash. So I was like, cool. I made the 3rd when I moved in. So here they come. So they made the 4th, right? So they came out. I was very happy to see them in that. I have said for years that Blue Ash needs to really watch the tear downs, and that's another story. The gentrification that's happening in Blue Ash is very real, like it is in any other neighborhood, but it's very real here. In other words, they're buying property, tearing stuff down, and building 500,000 plus homes that most people can't afford. So basically, they're trying to keep people out, pretty much, which is sad, but it is what it is. And I've gone to counsel on that, like, hey, y'all need to chill with these developers coming in and taking over these homes. It's getting bad. So this couple, again, they moved in. They're renting. And the owner, they sold the house to a management company. Management company is just renting it. I think eventually they're going to tear it down. But it's a cute little small house, and they're renting. So I welcomed them. I told them if they need anything, I'm here. I told them I've been here in the school district for a very, very long time. If there's kids get enrolled, they have any questions. And that was in the conversation. They said, oh, thank you. Hi, nice to meet you. And I left. That's the last time I talked to them. The second time I talked to the wife was just a couple weeks ago. Mind you, they had been here for 6 months or so, and I haven't said anything else to them. So the wife was outside. I said, hey, she had her baby. I said, hey, how are you? I said, you have a sign in your yard. I said, I'm looking for direct care providers for my daughter. I said, is that a direct care organization that's in your yard? She said, yes, that's my sister. I said, great. She said, here, I'll give you her name and her information. Perfect. That's the last time we talked. We chatted a little bit about the dog, my dog, who's no longer with us. That's a whole nother story. We talked about the dog. We talked about how he gets out sometime and what he was doing, all that. And so I went back in the house. That's it. No more conversation. So here comes 4th of July. So she has all her family over. Now, we don't, like I told you all, we don't quite celebrate 4th of July like everybody else does. However, we did have family over, do a family birthday for Kalila. So we had a Hawaiian theme barbecue. And so we had that outside. And I knew everybody was going to be off. We were supposed to have it that Monday, but that Monday it rained or something that Monday. And so I ended up doing Tuesday. I think that's what it was. Anyway, ended up doing Tuesday, which is happening the 4th of July. So she's out there with her family, and they're on the yard. No, we're not speaking or anything. We could see them. My yard is a lot larger than hers, so her yard is small, so they're like kind of condensed right there. Where we're kind of all over the place. So I'm sitting there, and so my daughter asked me about her. I said, well, they seem to say to themselves, they seem to be nice people. It is what it is. So they start the firecrackers. Something in me kind of went to, I had to check myself for a minute. I'm going to tell you why. So I have lived in this city for 30 years, and I've never known, almost 30, I have never known anyone to bring such a large arsenal of firecrackers and just set them off. They just got here. I mean, they just moved in. Like, I don't know, for me, I would just kind of assess the neighborhood and kind of see how it is. It's a quiet neighborhood. When I say it's quiet, nobody comes outside. We see each other in passing, we get in our cars. We see the mailman, our delivery trucks, and that's about it. Everybody stays to themselves. Like, it's very quiet, and I love it. I love it. Nobody's in each other's houses. Like, it is what it is. And so they started selling firecrackers. I was fine with the sparklers, and then they were doing the ones that pop on the ground. So we went in the house because, again, my niece was here who has autism. She is very, very, she's nonverbal, period. My son, as you know, Sanford, who is semi-nonverbal. My son, Kellen, was here, and Kalela. Okay. And of course, Christina, my brother, my son's staff, so we came in the house. Because it started getting loud. And then the mosquitoes were biting as well. So that gave us an excuse to come on in the house. And so they started setting off the big ones. They started setting off M80 type bombs. M80. That's when I had an issue. So I said, okay, it's getting too much. And Coletta says, Mommy, I'm scared. So her anxiety started kicking in. I said, okay, I got to go outside. I said, hi. I had my robe on because I was getting changed. So I came straight outside. I was trying to catch him. I said, hi. Hey, sweetheart. I told little son, I said, hi. He said, hi. I said, can I speak to your mom? He said, okay. So he went to get his mom. So her family's all out in the front porch. They were lighting the firecrackers, her husband and another man who was visiting. And he said, well, my mom says she's busy. Oh, she's busy. Now, I don't know what happened in between me talking to her outside to seeing them out there on the porch and everything. And I don't know what happened. But another one was like, is there a problem? I said, no, there's no problem per se. I said, I just would like, so the husband said, hey, is there a problem? I said, well, sir, I'm not mad or anything. I said, but I was wondering if you could not set off the really loud ones. I said, I have children. I said, 3 people in here with autism. I said 4 with autism. And I said, it's scaring them. I'm concerned. It's scaring them. I said, the other ones seem to be fine, but the very, very loud ones, can you maybe not do that here, maybe someplace else, And he was like, okay. I said, thank you. And I walked in. He kept doing it. He kept setting them off. I was like, okay. So I called the police. The police said, well, they're legal up until 11 p.m. After 11 p.m., he can't do it. And by that time it was like 9. I said, Lord, please just let him hear up and just finish. And so what my daughter did was she took all the kids out. Christina, she took them all out. And so they went to the Summit Park area to get them away from the noise. So let me tell you what happened in my head. What happened? It wasn't about his race or their race. What happened was it's a culture. There's a culture that I was used to, that I'm used to. There's a way of doing things I am used to. And it's a thing called respect. So my thing was, the first thing I said in my head, they can't do that up in here. That's what I said to myself. What are they doing? Who do they think they are? They coming up in here making this noise. So I had to catch myself a little bit and say, okay, Kim, don't become a Karen, right? I had to catch myself. And I said, okay. Now, mind you, it was not about their race. It was about their attitude. And the fact that I had just spoke with him. I was very nice to him. And he still did it, regardless, disregarding any of my concerns. And then when my daughter tried to leave, they were setting them off and she couldn't move her car. It was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous. So I chose not to call the police back. I chose not to say anything else. I could have reported them for doing that, for doing it in the street and being in the way. I could have done that. But I decided not to do that. So I had to check myself that I didn't become a Karen. Not because they were black, but because of the culture that we have here in Blue Ash. And as I said, my friends, the ladies that I just spoke to about earlier, the women that are in my life that are, that don't have that Karen mentality have been there for me, or have been very much present for me. We have an understanding. We have a relationship. They are very, very open about how they feel about racial equity. They're very real about that. And so am I. But what I'm not going to do, and what you're not going to do, is disrespect me. I don't care if you're black, white, red, green, or brown. Okay? Yes, black family moves in. I greet them, because it's not a lot of blacks in our neighborhood. But I greeted them and I said, oh, so let me tell you what I had to do. I said, okay, they have a ghetto mentality. That's what was going through my head. They have a ghetto mentality and they don't have the right attitude, and they need to take that up out of here. So I had to check myself. First of all, I'm a follower of Christ. I had to check myself. And I said, you know what, Kim? We still have to love regardless. We still have to forgive. We have to love people regardless to what they do. So I had to do that. I had to check myself. And I said, okay. So what I did was I threw it into the sea of forgiveness. Of course, I still remember because I'm talking about it. But my feelings, emotions about it, and how I was feeling, I had to throw that away and say, Kim, you got to make sure you're right. They could be wrong as wrong as wrong. And they were. But I had to remain right. Right? I had to stay right. So with that being said, for today's Motivation Monday, I want to leave this with you. I don't care if there are Karens around you that have done things and have made you feel, threatened, or if you have Karens in your life who have done things that have, and I hate using that term. I'm only using that term because my friend Karen, as you guys know earlier, she talked about being Karen and what she went through that day with the young man with the dog. But I'm going to say this. I think that it is imperative that we remember that we can't control people. You can't control their actions. And again, if you have somebody in your life that's like that, I encourage you to sit down and talk with them. Take them to coffee. Take them to lunch. Say, hey, I just kind of want to chat with you about your behavior and, your thoughts on how you're treating people. And, we've got to be able to get along here. I think that there are people in your life like that. Everyone has someone in their life like that, whether they be a white Karen or they be a black Karen, right? We got to make sure that if we have people in our life, we got to challenge them to do better. So I want to motivate you to do that today. I want to motivate you to try to remain who you are. Remain, even though you may have somebody in your life that does things like that, to remain, positive, to remain, encouraging, remain, forgiving, remain who you are, and not let someone take you out of who you are. Because that's what those people did to me next door. They took me out of who I was. And if you have a woman named Karen in your life, love on her. If her name is Karen and she's dealt with the negativity that a Karen has, love on her. Give her some love. Hey, Sarah, how you doing? Give her some love. Encourage her. Tell her she's not a Karen, right? Like I said, I have 2 Karens in my life. And I take ownership of them. They notice. I say, you are my Karens. They're my Karens. And I will fight for them. I will. Because I know what they've done for me. The other Karen that I spoke of, we have when I tell you the bond she and I have is just freaking phenomenal. And she is one that is an advocate. She is an ally. She's someone who really supports me in my efforts. She has been there for me for my nonprofit. She's been there with me for the kids. We've been there for each other with our children. So yeah. So I want to leave that with you guys today. If you know someone who is acting like a negative Karen, I would encourage you to talk with them. But if you have someone in your life who is not named Karen, just let them know, you know what? I know you're not that kind of Karen. I hate that you have that name, whatever, and that name has been just misused terribly. But I love you, and I thank you for being in my life. I think that they need to hear that, right? Okay, guys, Reese's Pieces, I love you so very much. I got to get busy getting this house together for this party on Saturday. All right, I love you guys. Have an awesome rest of your day. Have an awesome rest of your week. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.